thing rolling. But definitely go ahead and put y'all questions in there if you have any. Shalom. Y'all by Shimmy outside, rock a thumb. My brothers, y'all small, the thun by Shimmy outside, and sisters. Freezing Officer 5,000 Recovered Israelite School of UPK. Start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under command of General Yohana. Alright? You know what I mean? As you know, we've been dropping this truth, hitting them street corners worldwide since 1969. And we've been teaching so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. Alright? And the reason why it's necessary to teach them the truth according to the Bible, and the reason why we don't have the truth as it pertains to the scriptures, is because of these Christian churches that we've been going to for centuries upon centuries. All right, and with that being said, you know, we have a common misconception as to who Christ died for. You know what I mean? Thinking that Christ died for the so-called Jewish man, that the man that currently occupies the land of Israel today. You know what I mean? When that is not the case. That's absolutely heresy. It's false. You know what I mean? It's no truth in it. Bear with me 1 second. Let me turn this down. All right. So there's absolutely no truth in it. All right. When as it pertains to who Christ died for, and believing that he came and he died for, you know, the Jewish man that's in the land of Israel, or you think that, you know, he came and he died for everybody. You know what I mean? All the nations that currently stand in the earth today. You know what I mean? Whether they be, you know, of European descent, whether they be of Asian descent, or, you know, some type of some African or what have you. You know what I mean? Christ didn't come and die for all ethnic groups. You know what I mean? But in fact, who he did come and died for was, you know, the Israelites. All right? And Christ being the Israelite himself, he came and he died for his people. You know what I mean? And his death was an ultimate example of his devotion and his loyalty to the Most High, first and foremost, and secondly, to his people. All right? To his people, who will be the Israelites. All right, and the reason why I mentioned the man that currently occupies the land of Israel today, that professes himself to be a Jew, is because when we think about who the Jews are, that's immediately who pops into mind. It's that man that is in the land of Israel today. You know what I mean? When that indeed is false. You know what I mean? And this is why it's important to teach this topic. You know what I mean? Because so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, so long we've been inside of this kingdom, and, you know, because we've been second-class citizens, and, you know, we've been, you know, subject under our slave master. You know, we've grown to the point where we don't have a grasp, you know what I mean, a firm grasp on the authentic truth of our ethnicity. You know what I mean? Our nationality as a people. You know what I mean? I'm talking about those who were slaves, those brothers and sisters that were enslaved. We don't have an authentic grasp on what our identity actually is. You know what I mean? Like, we think that we Puerto Rican, which means a rich port. You know what I mean? When that's what Christopher Columbus, when he came over to the Americas and he saw all the riches abroad the land, you know what I mean? He called it the rich port. You know what I mean? Thus, attaching that name to the people of that land. You know what I mean? So we didn't identify ourselves as Puerto Ricans or Dominicans, which means a loyal dog. You know what I understand? Or Indian, which means a savage. You know what I mean? Native Indians calling themselves Native Indians, when, you know, the man that, you know, stole the land from under your feet and you know, dang near wiped out, you know, our generations, you know, that cat is the one that called you a savage. I mean, meanwhile, he's the one murdering, raping, and robbing and enslaving you. He calls you the savage. You know what I mean? That's why he's the devil the Bible speaks of. But we go and we identify ourselves, you know, in these different ways. But the ways that we identify ourselves is the one is through what the slave master intended for us to identify ourselves. That's how we identify ourselves, and it's just the reason why we point it out is just because when you think about it, it's really how do you say, it's unwise to identify yourself by that term that your slave master gave you. You know what I mean? Uh, and it is important to know what your identity is. You know what I mean? It definitely is. You know what I mean? Because if you don't know who you are, you know, you'll never know who your enemy is. All right? Because you'll think, you know, I know plenty good. I know plenty good. Uh, I know plenty of good white people. You know what I mean? No white person has ever personally offended me. You know what I mean? Uh, no white person has ever personally offended me. You know what I mean? I know certain white people that they don't have those same tendencies that their forefathers had, as far as enslaving us and you know uh, having a mentality that revolves around the racism that their forefathers built this kingdom on. You know what I mean? And you'll think, because nobody is personally attacking you, or you've never experienced anything on a personal level, that you know you're not a target by someone who intends to oppress you, but on a national level. You know what I mean? Someone who you know he builds a whole system of oppression to employ it on nations. You know what I mean? Not you personally, but it's to be employed on your whole nation. You know what I mean? So you'll never see that attack because you think it's just about you. You know what I mean? When in reality, it's not just about you. You know what I mean? It's about everybody that descends from your lineage. You know what I mean? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, Haitians, Jamaicans, we all uh we all have the same blood. We all come from the same lineage. All right? And that's important, and ultimately, what I mean, collectively, we are a nation of people. All right? And the nation of people that we are the Israelites of antiquity. You understand? So-called black people would be from the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean? The so-called Haitian people would be from the tribe of Levi. All right, you know what I mean. You go down the list. The Cubans would be from Amnessa. The Puerto Ricans would be from Ephraim. You know what I mean. Uh, the Seminole Indians would be from the tribe of Reuben. The Mexicans would be from the tribe of Issachar. Uh, the West Indians would be from the tribe of Benjamin. You know, that's who we are. If you get to the essence of who we are as a people, uh, that's Christ. Christ came and he pledged, his allegiance not to the American flag, you know what I mean, but he pledged his allegiance first and foremost to the Most High. You know what I mean? And in doing that, he also pledged allegiance, his devotion, his loyalty to the so-called Israelites. Not the so-called Israelites, Salakia. You know what I mean? He pledged his allegiance to the Israelites. You know what I mean? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You know what I mean? So much so that Christ loved black people so much. He loved Hispanics so much. You know what I mean? He loved blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians so much that he was willing to lay down his life in order to save his people. You know what I mean? To save his people from the enslavement. You know what I mean? To save his people from systematic oppression, mass incarceration. You know what I mean? Abortion. You know, chemical warfare, crack cocaine in your neighborhood, heroin. You know what I mean? Christ came and he died, you know what I mean, to save his people. Save his people from all the atrocities, you know what I mean, all the hell that we suffer under, you know what I mean? To deliver us from that condition, to deliver us from the condition that we currently are in today. All right? And without further ado, I'm gonna get into some scriptures and we'll bust it down, you know what I mean? So let me before I go there, let me just check this joint out right fast. I'm gonna check it out real quick. So we smooth on that. Black love, segregation, hatred. What's going on here? What are these tags doing here? Okay, no sweat. There's no problem with that. With that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, y'all make sure y'all got y'all King James versions. Don't be reading them NIVs, them whatever else they call. I don't even know what them joints is called. I just know that NIV one, whatever you're reading, you know what I'm saying. Make sure you grab up that King James version, 1611 edition, preferably. You know what I mean, with the Apocrypha, all right? And then we could all rock on the same page. Y'all can follow along. And if you have any questions as we going on, you could definitely drop it in the chat. And to the best of my ability, I'll get to that thing for you, all right? But I'll definitely get you an answer, all right? So without any further ado, let's go to Matthew 1 and we start at 21, all right? Matthew 1 and 20. Do I want to start at 21? I mean, just so we get a little bit of the story. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we could start at 18, all right? So let's start at 18. All right, Matthew. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. The thing ringing out kind of loud, all right? So I want to turn it down a little bit. Bear with me as I turn that thing down. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I don't know how that thing jumped back up. But yeah, we back rolling. Okay. So let's start at Matthew 1 and 18, all right? Matthew chapter 1 and verse 18. Now the birth of Christ was on this wise, meaning the birth of Christ. So the birth of Christ happened in this way. All right, it's about to explain it. When as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph before they came together, meaning she was promised to Joseph, you know what I mean, and before they came together, meaning before they had the marriage ceremony. All right. She was found with child of the Holy Spirit. She was found with child of the Holy Spirit. So before they had the marriage ceremony, Joseph and Mary had sex, you know what I mean? And Mary was impregnated by Joseph. All right. So that's how that thing happened right there. Okay. Let's read on. Of the Holy Spirit, meaning that this was the Most High's will, you know what I mean? That for Christ to be born was the Most High's will. All right, let's read on. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, right? Joseph was a righteous brother. Let's read on. And not willing to make her a public example, you know what I mean? Let's read on. Was minded to put her away privily. All right, so meaning what? Joseph didn't want to put Mary on blast. Meaning what? Meaning he didn't want Mary to seem like she was fast. Like, because of course you're supposed to, after you have the marriage ceremony, you know what I mean, then you would have sex. You know what I mean? But before they even had the marriage ceremony, they had sex with one another. You understand? So, you know what I mean? Joseph didn't want to make her a public example and make it look like Mary was some type of fast a broad who couldn't keep her legs closed. You know what I mean? So he didn't. So he kept it on the low. All right. Let's read on. But while he thought on these things, so now Joseph's sitting there, he contemplating because the brother got a child on the way, and he knows that he got a child on the way, right? So now he thinking about it. He thinking about everything that comes with that fatherhood. You know what I mean? He thinking on these things. Right? Let's read on. Behold, so look at here. The angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, so now this is an angel of the Most High. You know what I mean? He appeared unto Joseph in a dream, all right? Let's read on. Joseph, thou son of David, right? Joseph, thou son of David. Joseph was from the tribe of Judah. He was the son of David. David, you know what I mean, referring to King David. All right, so Joseph descended from bloodline. All right, one, that with kingship in it. All right, let's read on. Fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife. You know what I mean? Because once again, sex is marriage. You know what I mean? So he said, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, right? You know what I mean? So regardless as to whether the marriage ceremony is had or not, you know what I'm saying? Once a man, goes into a woman, then that becomes his wife, all right? Let's read on. Fear not to take unto Mary wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit, meaning that's the Most High's will. You know what I mean? That's what the Lord wanted to happen. All right. So don't sweat it. Take Mary on. All right. Boom. And she shall bring forth a son. So this is talking about, and she's going to bring forth a son. All right. So this is this was like, you could say it's a gender reveal from the angel of the Most High. He's letting her know what he's about to have, all right, which is going to be a son. All right, let's read on. And thou shalt call his name Jesus, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. Right. So that is the angel. He's telling Joseph what he is supposed to name that child. You know what I mean? Because once again, this is the will of the Most High. All right. And when you go into the Hebrew, when you go into the Hebrew word that Jesus derives from, the translation of it means savior or deliverer. All right, so this child that want to have together was going to be a savior and a deliverer, and we are going to find out for who. Let's read on. For he shall save his people. All right. So now it's saying, for he shall save his people. Now it doesn't say that Christ was going to come and save all of the other nations, right? But in fact, you know what I mean, his people, being a possessive noun, is actually letting you know that Christ is coming to save his people. You know what I mean? Coming to save the people that descend from his lineage. All right? The people that have the same blood as him. You know what I mean? Those his brothers that's according to the flesh. You know what I mean? All right? So let's read on. He shall save his people from their sins. All right? So he shall save his people from their sins. All right, once again, I think we went over this last week, but it doesn't hurt to, go over it again. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, when you look at the scriptures, I'm not going to go there today. But when you go to Romans, the 9th chapter and the 4th verse, it lets you know that the law only pertains to the Israelites. So technically speaking, the only ones that could break the law would be the Israelites. You know what I mean? So if you were a Chinese man or African or European or of any other descent, you wouldn't be able to technically break the law because those laws was given to the Israelites. All right, so Christ came and was to save his people from their sins, meaning to save the Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians from their sins. You know what I mean? And what is a sin? A sin is a transgression of the law. So, like I didn't mention that earlier. All right, so Christ came to save us from sins. All right, so this angel of the Most High prophesying onto Joseph, you know what I mean? You can certainly that this is a truthful statement. You know what I mean? Like, for anyone to try to oppose that Christ didn't come and die for everyone, you know what I mean, is definitely blasphemous. It's a lie against the Most High, and you know what I mean. For you to say that, you have to be real prideful to believe that, because an angel of the Most High clearly came and prophesied unto Joseph, informing him that, you know what I mean, Mary was going to have a son. This son being who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He was going to have that son, and that son, you know what I mean, being what? Joseph is from the tribe of Judah. Christ from the tribe of Judah. He's going to die. He was going to save his people from their sins. You know what I mean? That's what the angel said. You know what I mean? His people being the Israelites, the 12 tribes that make up the nation of Israel. You know what I mean? This is coming from the mouth of an angel. This is a message being delivered from the Most High by an angel of the Most High. You know what I mean? So for anyone to oppose that Christ didn't die for everyone is, a very proud gesture. You know what I mean? And you should check your spirit, because, you know what I mean, under no circumstance is your word more valid than an angel that comes directly from the Most High. All right? So, with that being said, you know what I mean, we're going to keep this thing pushing. Okay? So, actually, let me see real quick. I'm going to flip this joint right here. See, we might want to get something else on that. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, let's go to Matthew, the 10th chapter. All right? Yeah, I'm trying to see what I didn't get to get last week. I'm going to throw a couple of them things up in there for y'all. All right? Okay, Matthew, the 10th chapter. We can start at the 5th verse, all right? Yeah, I'm going to get to that too, so. Salakia. Let's go to Matthew, the 10th chapter, all right? You know what I mean? Like, Christians are very prideful, man. You know what I mean? It's really a terrible thing as to how prideful they are. You know what I mean? To believe that their word is more valid than an angel that is sent from the Most High. You know what I mean? Like, they blasphemy is on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? So, with that, we're going to keep it pushing. And, we'll further prove the point as to that Christ only came and died for so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Indians. Right? So, with that being said, I mean, and even if you was in disbelief that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are the Israelites according to that Bible, you know what I mean? At least you would have to admit that Christ, only came and died for the Israelites. If let's say you was uncertain as to who the Israelites were, you know what I mean? As far as modern day is concerned, you know what I mean? At the bare minimum, we should at least, you know what I mean? If we just being real with ourselves, you know what I mean? I say keep it 100, but if you're keeping it 100 with yourself, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? If then you should be able to see that Christ didn't come and die for everybody. He didn't, you know what I mean, to save everyone. You know what I mean? So at least, all right. Well, let's read on. Okay. Let me see what I want to start. I want to start at there. All right. So, boom. Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 Yahweh Shai sent forth. These 12 Yahweh Shai sent forth, meaning Christ sent forth the 12 disciples, his 12 disciples. All right, that's who the 12 is referring to. It's referring to the 12 disciples that follow Christ. All right, let's read on. And commanded them, when Christ sent his 12 disciples forth, you know what I mean, he gave them an order. All right, that's what a command, when it says he commanded them, meaning he gave them an order. All right, you know what I mean? Because once again, you know what I mean, Christ was the ultimate soldier for his people. You know what I mean? And the brothers that rolled with Christ, they were also soldiers for so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. You know what I mean? Because they love Black people. You know what I mean? They love the Hispanic people. They love the Native Indian people, man. You know what I mean? And they made it their business to go out there and bring back them 12 tribes, man. You know what I mean? But let's read on. Saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, right? So it says, go not into the way of the Gentiles. What are the Gentiles referring to in this context? In this verse, it's talking about a non-Israelite people. Okay, that's what the Gentiles are talking about right here. Now, when you read the scriptures, Gentiles is not strictly confined to meaning a non-Israelite people. However, in this instance, it's talking about a non-Israelite people. And when he says, go not into the way of the Gentiles, what is that referring to? That's referring to, going into places where racially they're predominant. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? If you have a predominantly white town or you know what I mean, where, you know what I mean, it's not a racially diverse. You know what I mean? And you just have, it's mostly white people out there, okay? Or you got mostly anybody that's not an Israelite. You know what I mean? And they're the predominant ethnic group in that area. I mean, however, in fact, we're gonna find out where he did want them to go. All right, but let's read on. Go not into the way of the Gentiles, all right, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. All right, let's read on. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So now, you know me, this is a question. We should pose this question to ourselves if we still have any disbelief that Christ came and he died for everyone. All right? This is the question you should pose to yourself. Now, if Christ came, he died for all ethnicities and nationalities on the earth and it saved them from their sins, right? If that, in fact, was the case, then why during the time of Christ, you know what I mean, and the disciples, were Christ given one, but to only teach the Israelites? You understand? Like you got, like, think about it. If Christ was trying to save everybody, wouldn't he teach everyone? Wouldn't he want his disciples to teach everyone? But no, Christ didn't want his disciples to teach everyone. He didn't want them to go where there wasn't Israelites at. He wanted them to go where he wanted them to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You know what I mean? And that's so heavy. That lost sheep, you know what I mean, is so heavy because, you know what I mean, definitely, certainly, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you know what I mean, are lost today. You know what I mean? One, because we don't have an identity. Not that we don't have an identity, but we don't know what our true identity is. You know what I mean? When we talking about the masses, that we don't know what our true identity is. You understand? So definitely we are lost. You know what I mean? And then secondly, we don't know who our enemy is. You know what I mean? So that's another you can contribute that to us to being lost. Another thing you can contribute to us being lost is we don't know what our identity is, our true identity is as a people, and we don't know who our enemy is. You know what I mean? We think our enemy is, you know what I mean, if you're a Dominican, you think that your enemy is a Haitian brother. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you Puerto Rican, you think your enemy. I mean, we too busy thinking that we are enemies to each other. You know what I mean? But that's so heavy about it is because, you look at these other nations, surely they're able to identify who their enemies are. You know, civilians, when U.S. citizens are at risk, you know what I mean, Donald Trump, he takes out the Iranian general. When the Iranians are plotting mysterious attacks against America, they go and they take them out. You understand? Because those people are not lost. They know who their people are. They know who they are, and they know who their enemy is. You know what I mean? But surely, you know what I mean, when you go out and we go out to teach, we got to teach black people, Hispanics, and Native Indians, slave master. We love the same man that oppresses us. You know what I mean? And we have to teach our people that we shouldn't love the man, you know what I mean, with the intention to destroy you, with no regard for your life. You know what I mean? Don't love the people that incarcerate you. Though you be roughly 15 to 16% of the population, however, making up 80% of the prison population. You know what I mean? Don't love the people that incarcerate you at such a level. You know what I mean? The people that shoot you and murder you in the streets. You know what I mean? The ones that are supposed to protect and serve. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in those titles. You know what I mean? Because, you know, certainly they're not here to protect and serve you. You know what I mean? Those police officers, police not here to protect and serve black Hispanics. You know what I mean? ICE agents is coming to kick in your door and separate you from your family. You know what I mean? The police, when you are licensed to have a firearm, and they're going to murder you for having that firearm on you legally. You understand? Like they did to Brother Philando Castile. You know what I mean? Don't love the man that, you know what I mean, would hang your mother, your auntie, your cousin, your sister, and lynch them in a cell. You know what I mean? Because of traffic violation. You know what I mean? That's what we have to teach our people. You know what I mean? And that's you know what I mean? That's how the disciples went out there and they taught their brothers and sisters, man. You know what I mean? Because they were soldiers for their people. You know what I mean? They were definitely soldiers for their people. And, you know what I mean? When you look at who is here to protect and serve you, you know what I mean? You should look to the priests and prophets of the Most High. That's who you should look towards. You know what I mean? And of course, I'm talking about those, the only priests and prophets of the Most High, which can be found in the Israelite school of UPK under Commander General Yana. You know what I mean? We are the one body of Christ on this earth, and we carry out the mission of Christ. I mean, and we are the only as the truth according to. Let me see. Let's read on. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right? And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. All right? So now this is what Christ was ordering his disciples to go and teach. You know what I mean? The soldiers of Christ. This is what they were being. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. What is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian rulership. You understand? And how do blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians gain rulership inside of the earth? All right? Let's ask ourselves that question. The way that we gain the rulership in the earth is through the fall of the current rulership that is in the earth. You know what I mean? Which is why, you know, the kingdom of heaven is definitely at hand. You know what I'm saying? You're starting to see biblical prophecies being fulfilled. You know what I mean? Biblical prophecy is being fulfilled. You're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. That whole thing, that whole little incident with Trump and them Iranian cats, man. You know what I mean? Right or wrong move, could have any wrong move at that point. Right at the brink of World War III. You heard of wars and rumors of wars. You know what I mean? Everyone was in fear that, you know, America and all of their allies and, you know, the Iranians and all of their allies, one being Russia, would get involved and, you know what I mean? And how do we know? Because these kingdoms are falling, man. That's why you got this COVID-19, man, crippling the American economy. You know what I mean? That black, Hispanic, and Native Indians built up for so long. You know what I mean? The fall of this kingdom is at hand. You know what I mean? The scriptures say, when you go into the Apocrypha, it say Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth after. You know what I mean? Esau would be the world, okay? Meaning the end of this society. You know what I mean? As you know it, where all manner of evil is, you know, is acceptable. bestiality, pedophilia, homosexuality, uh, drug addiction. You know what I mean? All of these things are permissible in this kingdom. You know what I mean? In this society. You know what I mean? Esau is the end of the world. You know what I mean? The way they live, you know what I mean, is going to be the end of this world. You know what I mean? Is the progenitor of the Israelites. Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel, became the father, the progenitor of the 12 tribes that make up the nation of Israel. You know what I mean? We are the beginning that follows after. So meaning what? Meaning when this kingdom, the Most High's kingdom, is going to be erected. Salakia going out of rank or Christ on this earth under the Most High. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Those. So that's how we know. You know what I mean? But the kingdom of heaven is at hand, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, biblical prophecy being fulfilled in this kingdom, man. You know what I mean? You starting to see the Most High. Like they shutting down schools for the whole year. You know what I mean? You know, we can. This brothers and sisters can't go back to their slaveries or what have you. You know what I mean? Like the government is sending out checks to pay you. You know what I mean? They sending you checks. You know what I mean? Because you know they have to do something to how do you say when you put something as a temporary, you know, to temporarily, like let's say they trying to stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? You just that thing that you wrap around, man. Is the turn up or something like that? They trying to stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? But they're not gonna be able to stop the bleeding, man. You know what I mean? This kingdom is going to bleed out, and you know what I mean. And eventually, ultimately, it's going to die. You know what I mean? And when this kingdom is over with, the kingdom of Christ will be erected. You understand? You're gonna see famines. You know what I mean? There's going to be famines, there's going to be plagues, there's going to be wars, there's going to be race wars. You know what I mean? All of it. You know what I mean? And and Christ sent his disciples out. He sent his disciples out there to go and teach Black, Hispanic, Native Indians about this. You know what I mean? So that way, when you know when Christ and you got yourself right and in order and became something that could be presentable before the Most High, to the point where the Most High may decide to have mercy on us. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because right now our people are destroyed. Our oppressor is such a goddamn devil, man. You know what I mean? They have our people deceived. You know what I mean? They have our people deceived something terrible. You know what I mean? So we got to go out here and drop this truth, man. And we teaching our people like the disciples of Christ did. You know what I mean? We ain't teaching everybody. You know what I mean? When we go out to a racially diverse crowd, we make it clear as to why, because that's who Christ intended for us. That's who the Most High intended for us to go teach. You know what I mean? The lost sheep of the house of Israel, man. You know what I mean? This kingdom is falling. You know what I mean? And if we don't separate from this kingdom, we will be destroyed in it. You know what I mean? You still want to, you know, what do you call it? You still want to be a pedophile. You want to rape. You know what I mean? You want to eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster, or what have you. You know what I mean? You want to break the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You know what I mean? And live like your oppressor. You want to assimilate to the lifestyle of our oppressor. Well, you're going to be destroyed with the oppressor. And we don't want our people to be. Pray the Most High that He have mercy on such a goddamn devil, man. And got him such a spell. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That it's so hard for them to come out of the world. You understand? So you know we definitely don't want our people to be destroyed in any capacity. We don't care about the man that enslaved us. You know what I mean? The man that enslaved, why we got to go out and teach him about salvation? He got an army. You know what I mean? He got an army to you know, fight his wars. You know what I mean? He has nuclear capabilities, and he has predator drones and whatever other, you know, weapons of mass destruction be saved from any goddamn way. You know what I mean? We the ones out here cold and dry, no protection. You know what I mean? The Christian pastor is not going to protect you. You know what I mean? We don't have any protection. You know what I mean? So we ain't out here going to teach these other nations, man. I mean, it ain't, you know what I mean? It's pointless. You know what I mean? Like Christ said himself. He said, "The healed have not need of you know what I mean? These our oppressors. They don't have any. They are healed. They are very healthy. You understand? Our oppressors are. What the heck do they need to be saved from? You know, be stopped because they're destroying everything. They so destructive. You know what I mean? But we go out here and we gonna teach our people, man, not the man that. Like, listen, why do we even care about what happens to so-called Africans, man? Why do we care about what happens to those Hamites? You know why? Because in slavery, why do we go and teach and save them, serving you, you know, stray cats and the mice that's in his shop? You know what I'm saying? He running your pockets, making $10,000 a week. His little jump off restaurant. And we want to save them. What the heck they need to be saved from? They got a Chinatown in every major city in America. They don't need to be saved from anything. You know what I mean? You want to save the Arabs. Heck, you want to save the goddamn Arabs for, man. You know what I mean? They the ones that built the ships to, you know, that the cargo to slavery. You know what I mean? The heck we want to go out there and teach them about goddamn salvation for them. All of them must pay for the crimes, the acts of war that were committed against our people. They never paid. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever paid for the atrocities that were committed against our people. You know what I mean? Anyone that has against our people, man. And that justice is going to come from the Most High. You know what I mean? The best thing we could do, you know what I mean, is to provoke the Lord to come and do it as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Don't go out there and go seek your own justice. You know what I mean? And grab an AR-15 and get the, you know, dump on the block at the boys and nothing. It's just going to come from the Most High. You know what I mean? The weed cookies and the weed. Stop sticking. Stop. We could decide. You know what? I'm for the Most High and it's holy. You understand? I will never stick my rod inside of a heathen woman. You know what I mean? If she ain't with them tribes, then I don't slide inside. You understand? If she with them tribes, then I slide in. You heard me? So that's what you want to, you know what I mean? Stop. Let's drop them things and, you know, provoke the Most High to come give us the justice that we rightfully deserve. You understand? Our people is the one that deserve justice. You know what I mean? We the ones that need justice and all the saving and healing that, you know, is but with that being said, right? With that being said, let's drop that, right? And let's go to Matthew 15 and 24, and we're gonna keep this thing rolling, all right? Before I do though, let me roll on the Facebook John, all right? Forgot to check that one. All I gotta do is this now. Yeah, rock lock me in on that, so you know we should be solid. Okay. Nope. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but go ahead and drop them things up in there. For some reason, this is continuous. This is some what's his name? Well, actually, in Rhode Island, you know what I'm saying, we had a brother out there, but you know what I'm saying, we actually need a soldier out there to build up Rhode Island. You know what I'm saying? So it's high. Definitely, you know what I'm saying, call. I'm gonna put the number in the chat for you to call, all right? So I'm gonna put this number in here, and you call that number, and you know what I'm saying, whoever picks up the phone gonna tighten you up, all right? So let me just put it up in there for you, all right? 646. All right. I'll put the number in there for you, brother. Okay. Yeah. By all means, hit that number up, and we'll tighten you up. All right. Get you all the information you need. You got any questions? Just call that number directly, and we'll make sure that you tight. All right. All right. No sweat. So let's drop that and let's go to Matthew 15. We'll go to Matthew 15 and bear with me. Let's just go to Matthew 15 first, and then we'll see what's happening, and we'll get it rolling on there. All right. See where I want to start at. All right. Let's start at Matthew 21. All right. Start at Matthew 15 and 21. Verse 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Right? And behold, a woman of Canaan, right? So this is a woman citizenship, not her nationality. So this is where the woman came from. All right? She came from Canaan. She was of Canaan. She was a resident coast, and came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, so this Canaanite, this woman of Canaan came to Christ, and she was crying in mind. You know what I mean? None of wasn't with any of the 12 tribes that make up the nation of Israel. So this woman would still be considered a heathen. All right? And now what we starting to see here is the state that this woman, she's in a state of distress, and she's coming to Christ in her state of distress. Let's read on. All right. Saying, have mercy on me. Right? So now, this heathen woman, this non-Israelite woman is pleading to Christ for him to have mercy. Should have mercy. Pleading to Christ, our son of David. Right? So now she's acknowledging Christ in, the lineage, that the royal lineage that he descends from. And on another note, it says, thou son of David. All right. Even the heathens, those who weren't of the nation of Israel, immaculately conceived. You understand? That's why she's from David's lineage, as we was a son of David, meaning he descended from, in essence, if Christ was immaculate, he wouldn't be from the lineage, considered to be from the lineage of a man. You understand? The son of the Most High. Thou son of the Most High. You know what I mean? It would be inaccurate to call him the son of David if he didn't descend, right? But he was directly came from Most High. Sidebar, all right? But she came to him, she acknowledged his lineage. Yeah, she acknowledged his lineage or what have you. And let's read on. Vexed with a devil. So now this woman's daughter is grievously vexed with the devil, and she's coming. This is the reason, and she's pleading to Christ for him to have mercy. So now, this Christ, when the woman is pleading, she's in distress. You know what I mean? As far as we know, the Christian thing to do would be to respond to the woman. You know what I mean? Maybe tell her to, just pray on it. The blood of Jesus be with you. And you know what I mean? Or what have you. That'd be the Christian thing to do. However, Christ himself, when this stop, you know what I mean, came pleading in distress and asking for all the mercy to be had. Her daughter was previously vexed with a devil. All right. Christ didn't even respond. He ignored. Now, I don't think so. That's not the Christ, you know what I mean, you learned about in that Christian church. You know what I mean? That's not the you learned about. You know what I mean? You know, Jehovah Witness come to you, don't open the door. You know, that would be condemning door when them Jehovah's Witnesses come. Because you think the Most High is going to curse you if you don't answer that door when a Jehovah's Witness knock on it. You know what I mean? You feel Christ ignored her. You know what I mean? Yeah, some would say that's rude. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth, and we out there delivering the message of the Most High. Someone that's a non-Israelite, that's not of our lineage, that's not to project, you know, themselves and be out there dropping the truth on a brother or sister in the dialogue that we're having. You know what I mean? We ignore them. You know what I'm saying? Right now, this is the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian hour out there. You know what I mean? Because that's who we out here for. You know what I mean? Christ was out there to save so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. You know what I mean? That was the mission that he was on. And this heathen woman, this woman that wasn't, you know, from his tribes, you know what I mean? She came and she was trying to divert him off of his mission. Sent him on it. You know what I mean? He wasn't easily diverted. You know what I mean? He didn't fall weak to some tears because some broad is out there crying on the corner. You know what I mean? He didn't fall weak to them tears.